So last week, or 2 weeks ago, pretty sure by the time of this recording, I went over the Disventure Camp Iceberg with layers 3 and 4. And now we're moving on to the final layers, being 5 and 6. Now, near this part of the iceberg, this is probably at the point where I'm learning a lot of new stuff about Disventure Camp that I even know existed or didn't even know prior. So, yeah, because for layer 4 last time, I was running into stuff that I swear I've never heard of before, but then these two layers, yeah, I'm probably not going to know them. But with nothing else to say, we could get done with the final layers of the Disventure Camp Iceberg. Toon Boom Situation. So Toon Boom is a Canadian cartoon network which helped teledrama be made, with Fresh TV. So they kind of somewhat own teledrama, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird to explain. But the whole point of this is that Toon Boom decided to take down, or just copyright, Disventure Camp because, well, it kind of had a likeness of teledrama. So they copyrighted them. And this, kind of angered people. Now, there was a Reddit post I found 11 months ago that, well, related to the situation, but the thing is, the thing I was talking about, that was for Season 2, and also they removed episodes for Season 1 and 3 too. But then I never really mentioned Season 4, so I don't know if it really came up again for Season 4 and those episodes were removed or not. But this does remind me of another entry that's in here called Total Drama Disventure Camp, which, it's kind of a big reason of why they're copyrighted, but I'll bring it up later when we get to that entry. Total Drama Disventure Camp. Earlier in the iceberg, I mentioned these beta designs for the contestants. I don't remember what layer that was, but that was from this, wiki entry, Total Drama Disventure Camp. So it was basically like a first draft. It was supposed to be a sequel, or the second season, of the first beta season, but it was changed. So, that's why it was the first draft. Some characters on here, the Casino Wiki, they never actually appear. Like, some of them they do, like Tess, James, Aiden. But then there's like one singular character I could think of that's kinda redone, or there's a certain word I'm looking for, but she comes back, which is the girl with the Lego, who, could be Jade. The funny thing to me is that it has a certain amount of episodes, what season it was, the teams, all of that. So, yeah, that's what this entry refers to. But it is really nice to look at this entry. Kind of just saying, oh, wow, Hunter looked homeless. Oh, okay. Huntake Shippers. So first, Huntake is a ship name for Hunter and Jake, which, I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't figure that out. But this refers to how Huntake Shippers are kinda freaky. Like, I don't know, this image for example. Just imagine a universe. Jake goes to Ellie and Hunter's house, and then is, I guess, comforting Hunter about something. See, I didn't watch the greeting. I don't really watch greetings because I'm not that into them. But greets him, I guess, and I don't know, he's shirtless. Like, I don't know, it's kind of strange, It kind of reminds me of the male fan service entry from the last layer. Xavi bi situation. So this talks about the situation of Zayd and Ivy being bi, but then not really being bi. The best way to explain it, so just a little bit of an excerpt from this post on Reddit. But if you search Xavi bi situation, then you can see the whole thing, but I'm not going to include the whole thing because it's really insanely long. Basically, in greetings, Zayd and Ivy could be shown in bi outfits, so, maybe you could say, oh, they're bisexual. But in the Disventure Camp Pride post that they've done for, like, I think 3 years now in a row, maybe it was only 2, Zayd and Ivy weren't included. So then Jared was, basically accused of queer baiting, baiting the community of LGBTQ people of, I guess, just attention, or might be another word I'm looking for, but just queer baiting. And this created a whole situation out of it. Now, as you can see in the image, it includes Jacob. I think that's how you say his name. I'm pretty sure that's how I said last video. Basically, he accused a minor of being, or I guess he accused a minor of being homophobic because they are against Xavi. I don't really get that part. But yeah, the whole situation is very crazy. And this happened about almost half a year ago, but it was 5 months ago. And finally, there's the Zayd bi outfit. So I included this also in the entry because, well, I mean, it is a bi outfit, you know, it's bisexual related, so I thought, why not? Now, this is probably the most controversial greeting. It's like up there because at some point, about maybe 2 months ago or 3 months ago, I don't really remember when this greeting was made, the greetings just got kind of very weird, freaky. I mean, just look at his outfit. I mean, come on, just look at it. It's just so strange. And it kind of connects back to that male fan service entry again, somehow. Wow. But it's just really strange. But that's like majority of this entry. Well, okay, majority of the Zayd part, but the Zayd and Ivy part, it was only really 25%. But you can find the Reddit post still. Dan is dead. So, if you ever watch Pocketel Island Toll Drama, you know there's a character named Beardo, right? You know, he's okay, probably not the most liked, but he's there. But if you ever watch BH Ultra's video on, you know, what happened to the Total Drama contestants and how they were affected by the competition, well, he says that Beardo died, and that was a joke in the fandom. And I'm pretty sure it's the same thing with Dan. Because, I mean, how would Dan die? It's just random, you know? I even found this image of Dan's funeral. Well, I mean, just telling us about the funeral. So, yeah, it's more of a joke entry, but it is still funny to read. Allie and Hunter barely take showers. So, I don't think this is actually said in the episode of, you know, season 2 or even 3. But I think it's said in the greeting that Allie and Hunter, they barely take showers. Just disgusting. The ultimate tier. So earlier, I explained this a little bit. Maybe I explained it vaguely. But basically, the ultimate tier was introduced not too long ago, or at least it doesn't feel that long ago. Maybe 2 months, or 3. How it would go was that you could watch the episode insanely early. Like earlier than the highest tier, or at least a little bit more earlier than that tier. When you watch the episode, there would be no watermarks at all. So, it could be easily shared and leaked to everybody. I don't know who thought it was a good idea. I don't know who actually thought it was a good idea at that. But that's what the ultimate tier was, and it changed basically immediately. Well, maybe immediately, at least in a few days, like less than 3. So that's what the ultimate tier was. Multiple death threats. So some VAs, or voice actors, gotten death threats from fans because, I don't know, they don't like that maybe one character beat another character. So I'm going to share 2 examples. So Rhea's voice actor has gotten some death threats from the Jake cult, which didn't even know that existed for such a bad character. But yeah, they've sent death threats to her, I guess for Rhea winning. I don't like Rhea, but I don't send death threats to people over a cartoon of all things. And then Vanessa Venture, who voiced Gret, also got death threats. I guess one thing that kind of reminded me of this tier, it was Logan. So, in one of my videos, I'm pretty sure I addressed how Logan, he was the most hated character, but also, people wanted death threats against him, or posed death threats against him, but I guess the character himself and not the voice actor, but just, I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of that, but it was really funny to me, because people were posing death threats to a cartoon character, who, I mean, I don't know, when I think of Logan of all people, he didn't really do that bad. I mean, he flipped. That was really it. Not really the worst thing to do in the game. Actually, yeah, especially compared to other characters like Rhea or Jade, who, well, left people to die. So, yeah. Miriam was gonna die allegations. So in season 3, Miriam says that she hurt her back in the middle of season, well, 1 to 3. So people allege that, wait, is this the season that Miriam dies? Which, I don't know. Even though Disventure Camp's more shocking than, well, you know, good storytelling, I don't think they would kill someone just for a shock factor. So, yeah, people just allege that she would die here, but she never did. And it's kind of ironic how she didn't get out to an injury, and it was actually Connor who gave up due to an injury. But some people do still theorize when she'll die, which, I don't know, I feel like they wouldn't really kill a character. Like, even if it wasn't, like, in the competition, even, like, off the show. I don't know, I just feel like Disventure Camp or Odd Nation wouldn't do that. But, yeah, that's what Disventure refers to. But that was layer 5 of the Iceberg. So, yeah, I thought it was nice. It felt short. Well, I mean, it is short, since, I mean, if you look at it and compare it to the one above, yeah, it's kind of short. But I probably would have went a lot longer if I actually talked about the whole Xavier by situation, but that, I don't know, I feel like it would take too long, especially for something that was kind of blown out of proportion. Meaning, we can now move on to the final layer of the iceberg, which feels kind of quick, but then again, I think I've been doing this iceberg for a month now, or at least every 2 weeks, so, I mean, yeah, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be a month and 2 weeks, or just a month. Ria's many murder attempts. So obviously, if you ever watched Disventure Camp, and just seeing Ria play through, I mean, to be fair, she is the highest ranking player, I think, in history, or at least woman. Anyways, you probably see many murder attempts of Ria. In season 2, when Aiden is hanging off the cliff, she just leaves him. That's it. Doesn't care. In season 3, when she hits Connor and makes him get injured badly, I could somewhat count that, but not really, because, I mean, it was a bad injury, but who knows, maybe it's because, I mean, Connor is half a century old, so, And then, there's the finale, where she attacks Jake at the throat, which, almost makes him lose air and maybe die. So, 3 different times she tries to kill people. Who got Rosa Maria pregnant? If you remember in the earlier tiers, I talked about Disventure Camp stories. Well, I sort of did. You can't read them on Webtoon, but one of them was called Rosa Maria Reads Horoscopes. And basically, she tells a story about, how her parents reacted to when she was pregnant. She says it a little bit in the show, but in this comic, she says it more, even though I can't really find where you can actually open it, because you can't open it in Webtoon. Now, in the comic, and how her parents reacted, it was negative. It was negative. So she was, I'm pretty sure, kicked out and moved out. But then that brings the other question: who's the father? It's never actually said who the father is. It's only asked as a question in, a show, specifically the remake of season 2. So in this image, it shows that there's 4 other guys that could be the father. It's not explained who is the father. Jensen's backstory. So Jensen is the first character to have his camp story, or first staff, but he also probably has the darkest. Probably. Unless you, I guess, compare it to maybe someone like Anastasia, specifically her girlfriend, but I'll explain that later. In Jensen's backstory, basically, he had a mom or a sister named Natasha. They both lived, okay-ish, a little bit on the poor side, and they also had animals, in care. If the animals couldn't be cared for anymore, then it'd just be killed off by Natasha. So, probably euthanized. Obviously, Jensen doesn't like this, so he decides to just run away with Rufus, another dog, with 3 legs. 3 legs. When he runs away, he gets into an alleyway. In that alleyway, or basically a dead-end zone, 3 dogs apparently were behind him. 3 rancid, probably gonna kill him dogs, which I must do. Natasha comes out of nowhere, defends Jensen, and then afterwards she gets mauled by 3 dogs. And it's also probably the darkest scene in the show. Like, it's probably darker than seeing Tom get tortured by Jensen with the scars. So ultimately, Natasha passes away because, dog bites, getting mauled, yeah, it sounds pretty deadly from dogs. So she passes away. And that's Jensen's backstory. It's probably the darkest backstory you hear of any character in the show. Like, I don't know. If you compare it to, another character, or, I guess, darkest scene, then, there's Tom's getting tortured. That's pretty dark. But Jensen's, yeah, it's probably number 1. Carol's ult VA being a Xenist. So, a Xenist, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know the full description of that, or what the word is. I know it means something about supporting Israel, but that's it. I feel like there's something more. But basically, Carol's VA supports it. The same people that, were doing a genocide to Palestine. that's what she supported. So she was removed by Odd Nation and replaced with her new VA, which sounds, a little different, but then again, I kind of like her better. I don't know why, I just do. And if you're wondering why I think that she's a Xenonist or why it's included in the entry, well, it says that she supports Izzy-Ro in her YouTube description. So that's all I could go off of currently. Fiore X Anyone. When I did my School of Chaos Iceberg a few months ago, the characters in the game were second graders. Okay. But the entry in there was not safe for work or Rule 34. What? I don't know, it's just surprising. And then this entry, it's I don't know, kind of similar. Fiore X Anyone? Who ships these two? It's like the degenerate entry. Yule Spanish VA saying a racial slur. So basically, Yule Spanish VA called James a monkey, which is, pretty racist. And basically everybody got on fumes about it and, was really angry about it. I never watched the Spanish version of the episode, so I wouldn't really know. But even if I know now, I guess I wouldn't really care about much, because it's Yule of all characters. If it was another character, I'd be like, oh, that's surprising. But then Yule is the same guy that's sexist, homophobic, and, just all that bad stuff. So, I don't know, it's kind of expected. But, I don't know, that was one issue. The other issue, so what I thought this was originally referring to was when Yule referred to Rosa, or I guess referred to Rosa as a blue-collar worker. So basically he says, oh, where's Rosa? We need her to do this, It's kind of racist, because Mexicans are usually blue-collar workers, or seen as that. That's what I thought it was referring to. Diego's OG voice actor situation. This is the third entry that refers to a VA, which is kind of funny. But then this is at the bottom layer, so kind of expected. But if you never knew or never noticed, Diego, he was the last contestant to be revealed, in the auditions. This is because his original voice actor, Griffin P, I don't know how you say that name, he was caught defending Christopher or Kerpofer 15, whatever his names, who admitted to abusive behavior and that was sexual and emotional in nature. So, Odd Nation didn't like that, so he was replaced. That's why he was last. With Joe Colani Guzman. Fiore gets run over by a bus in Adventure Camp.
¡Tiene mi millón! Bueno, perder no estuvo tan mal entonces.
Yeah, in Adventure Camp, Fiore originally gets run over by the bus by Jensen and has her leg broken. What? It's really weird how unhinged Adventure Camp was. And it's also crazy that Ellie says, oh, it wasn't that bad. Sure, I lost $1 million, but I got to see a 6-year-old get run over by a bus. That's cool. Last but not least, carazar Zone. Boy, oh, this guy. So, carazar Zone, he's probably the most controversial writer that was on the show. Even compared to the VAs I just talked about, the past three, Yule's, okay, one racist statement. Carol's, okay, maybe controversial, pretty controversial maybe. But carazar Zone, he's just, he's bad. I'm pretty sure he's a big reason to why Season 2 had a remake. Besides from the animation looking, well, different from All-Stars and Season 4 and Season 1 remastered, the writing was not too good. In Season 2, Hunter, he's used as a self-insert for carazar in his desires, I guess. So, for example, he was the harem for Hunter, Tess, and Ellie. So, there was that. But it's the poly relationship part that he was a part of and, made up, and for some reason, Odd Nation allowed it. I don't really know why. He was the one that came up with the kissing challenge, which, was probably the most controversial challenge in Disventure Camp history, because at the time, Blake and Maggie, they were only 16 years old during that season. So, in the remake, it was actually changed, so if it's spun to them, then they would just have to respin, because, come on, it's pretty weird. He's also the one that came up with the Truth or Drown challenge, which was literally just total drama, but in a fanmate way. But he came up with that too, and had some revealing questions. For example, he's the one that came up with who had top surgery. which is an extremely sensitive question, specifically to Aiden, because, well, I mean, it was Aiden. I mean, it kind of makes sense for that question to be in there, but it's still, I guess, bad. Or not even I guess it is bad. In the fourth episode, in the merge, or the episode when they merge, basically, he comes up with the line where Hunter says, "Oh, I love Square. I can't deal with that with Lake, Tuss, Allie, all three of them. Not Square, it would be insane." That's a little bit exaggerated, but that is what Hunter says in the beta, which was written by Carazar. It's just, this guy is just basically a really controversial writer. He's actually a reason why Hunter was probably the most disliked. See, I thought Hunter was most disliked because, well, a really weird reason. Basically, he promised to Tess and Allie that, oh, we'll all hang out and stay friends after this. In Allie's elimination, Hunter kisses her, and that's why I thought everybody was mad at Hunter, for that small reason. Well, okay, I guess not really small, it's actually kind of big. But after a remake, I think Hunter's actually pretty popular now. You know, and well received, because he's just not Carazar anymore. He's not a self-insert. But there's even worse things about Carazar. So apparently he also makes not safe for work stuff, which, well, I mean, I already knew that, because actually the banner of his channel, it was Tess and Allie in bunny costumes. Freak ball. So, yeah, he made not safe for work art of the characters, and also the Total Drama reboot cast, who are all 16-year-olds. Alongside posting Heather's, you know, extreme scene, uncensored on his Patreon. It's just so crazy. It was really crazy that they accepted this guy. But then again, they probably didn't know he did all this stuff. But then again, I'm kind of surprised they didn't, like, search about him or do a background check. And finally, there was originally going to be a sex scene in the episode of, you know, the horror challenge with Allie and Hunter. Which is insane because, well, one person says that most of the fans are 13 to 16, which I think that's probably true. So, yeah, that's just so insane. I'm pretty sure what happened was that he was fired by Odd Nation. We know that because, I mean, just look at the writing, guys. It's better than before. So he was fired, and then I guess he might have changed his name because when I was trying to find videos on him, it didn't show Carazar's name, it just showed a random channel that I swear I'd never seen before. But yeah, that was Carazar's name, and I think he made the longest entry in this Iceberg, or well, the longest one I talked about. But that was the Disventure Camp Odd Nation Cartoons Iceberg. Okay, unless I'm wrong, I think my past two videos were 20 minutes, meaning this might be the longest Iceberg I've researched. I'm pretty sure Carazar, that zone, just, you know, helped with that, because I had to talk about it, because there's a lot he did. But, yeah, that was the whole Iceberg. I thought it was pretty nice. I mean, you know, the farther down we got, it, yeah, definitely got darker, as the iceberg goes, and how most icebergs do. I think it was pretty nice reading for it. There's actually not much else for me to add. Because this is going to premiere, well, I mean, it's premiering today, Monday, you know. And then later on, I guess 2 weeks from now when I upload this, I'm probably just going to combine all the layers and upload them into one video. And then, yeah, it'll be added to the playlist of all the other icebergs. So thanks for watching the Iceberg once again.